Howdy remarketing fans, and welcome back. In this lecture we're going to talk about goal completion based remarketing audiences. Creating remarketing audiences around goal completions may sound counterintuitive from the outset, but in fact it's a really good strategy for creating great remarketing audiences. Well, why does that sound counterintuitive in the first place? Because goals typically indicate some sort of meaningful final action a user takes on your site, like purchasing a product, or submitting a sales form, or signing up for a newsletter, or viewing a key page. So you may think that if somebody already kind of completed a goal, which is a conversion, and as you're going to see, goals and conversions are synonyms. We're going to be using them interchangeably. Google Analytics refers to these things as goals. AdWords calls them conversions, but goals and conversions are the same thing. If somebody completed a goal, it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't want to continue to remarket to that person, because a good advertiser, and you guys are going to be really good advertisers, are not going to just have goals set up in Google Analytics. We're not just going to be converting or tracking conversions for the most bottom of the funnel actions a user could take on our site. Granted, take our business for example. We're a digital agency. If somebody submits a form on our website, we really have no reason to continue remarketing to them. But if somebody downloads an ebook or a case study, or views our contact us page, or begins to fill out a form, something like that, then we do want to remarket to them because they didn't take that final action and become a bottom of the funnel converting visitor. So what does that mean for you guys? If you're e-commerce, and even if somebody buys a product, in fact, people who purchased items from you in the past are probably going to be some of the most valuable audiences to have on your remarketing audience. If you offer a free trial and you're tracking conversions on your free trial, you're going to want to continue to remarket to those people during the free trial, and especially as that free trial is expiring. So setting up remarketing audiences based on goals is very powerful. And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really easy. We're in the dashboard of another client of ours. This is a real-time analytics dashboard showing the data for the past few months. And as you can see, they get a significant amount of traffic and they generate quite a bit of revenue, $1.3 million in the last few months in revenue from the different marketing mediums and different website traffic that we're bringing in for this client. A pretty good goal completion rate at 6.4%. But obviously this number could be completely misleading because you don't know what is being counted as a goal. Right? We have 14,000 goal completions. Not all these goal completions are an actual sale / registration. The goal completions that this client is tracking as something which is profitable or brings in revenue for them. But either way, to go ahead and set up your goals and to see which goals you have set up in your account, you jump over into admin, and on the rightmost column, the view column, because that's the level in the hierarchy that goals are set up in, you're going to click on goals. We have a lot of goals set up for this client, but not all those goals are active. You could have goals that are recording and goals that are turned off. As you can see, US sales completed. That's our most popular goal completion over the course of the past 7 days, and you can go on and so forth. In this account, we have 0 goals left, meaning we cannot create a new goal because in a typical analytics install, not a premium Google Analytics account, you have a maximum of 20 goals. If you run, and I wanted to specifically show you this to show you this exact dilemma. If you run out of goals, if you've set up 20 goals in the past, you could do a couple of different things. The easiest thing to do is to take some of your inactive goals and just re-edit them, reconfigure them to be new goals, to signify new things. You could also create a new view inside this property, and you'll have another 20 goals at your disposal under that different view, but you won't be able to see that data side by side. You're going to have to alternate in between, between those different views. Because this is not a Google Analytics course itself, we don't need to go too deep into setting up goals and to setting up new views. I want to show you how to set up remarketing audiences based on your goals. So for example, let's say we have negotiating tips sign up. Say we wanted to retarget to people who signed up for our negotiating tips. So I have the name of my goal. I'm going to go back into my overall administrative view. I'm going to go into my property panels, find my remarketing audiences as you know how to do, and we're going to create a new audience. Over here you have a bunch of the audiences that we've created so far, and we're going to click on Create New Audience. Once again, we're going to configure the view we want this audience to be created in. We're going to select our destination AdWords account, click Next Step, and now we have the Define Audience section. Because Google Analytics gives us a template to create remarketing audiences from a specific goal conversion, we're going to start off by just selecting that template. We could obviously just create a new audience like we've done in the past, but over here I want to show you how to start off with a template, and it's customizable in the same way as creating a new one, so there's no reason why not to use their template if you're starting off with a goal conversion list. So we'll click over here, and Analytics is going to pre-populate one of our goals and a condition in that goal. They're going to give us a default membership duration of 30 days, and they're going to show us the user over the last 7 days look back. Now I want to go ahead and edit this goal because this is not the goal conversion that I wanted to track. So I'm going to click on edit, and as you can see, this audience is set up using the conditions under the advanced section, and you guys are getting very familiar with this area. To find the goal that I want to use for this remarketing audience, I simply click this drop down. Once again, we're going to do filter sessions that include, and we're going to start typing in the name of our goal. So it was negotiating, and right there, negotiating tip sign up. We see negotiating tip sign up, but we have 3 different options. We have goal value, goal starts, and goal completions. If we wanted to remarket to people who brought in a certain amount of value or who generated a certain amount of revenue, then we would choose value. But being that this is not a goal that has any value associated with it, and also that's not the intent or the purpose of this specific remarketing audience, we're not going to use value. Starts is an interesting technique, and it could be useful when you have a goal that is completed through a mandatory funnel. Oftentimes, you might set up a goal that has 2 or 3 or 4 different steps in order for a user to complete that goal. It's similar to the sequences concept that we saw in this Google Analytics Audience Builder in the previous lecture. And using the goal 12 starts, or using this starts option, you're able to remarket to people who entered that goal completion funnel but didn't necessarily complete that goal completion funnel. But once again, that's not the purpose of this remarketing audience that we want to set up. And also, this specific goal, this negotiating tip sign up, does not have a funnel associated with it. So that leaves us with completions. And completions is just a fancier way of saying that a user, or there was a session that was tracked in Google Analytics that triggered or completed this actual goal. So we'll go ahead and click negotiating tip sign up, goal 12 completion. And the number 12 just signifies what number goal this is in our account out of that 20 maximum. Per session is greater than 0, which means at least 1, obviously. Now I want to show you one more thing. If you click on per session, you're going to see 2 different options, sessions and hits. Once again, I don't want to get too deep into the difference between hits and sessions, but 99.9% of the time that you're going to be setting up goal-based remarketing audiences, you're just going to leave this as session. A quick overview, the difference between sessions and hits is that a session is a group of hits. A hit could be anything from a time tracking interval. It could be anything from it could be a button click. It could be scrolling down on your page. It could be clicking to a new navigation item on your menu. That's all. Those are all individual hits that ultimately create a session. A session begins when a new user comes to your page, and it ends when there was a certain amount of idle time on your page. That's how Google Analytics ends a session. So you typically do not want to be asking Google Analytics to find a certain amount of goal completions per hit. That's not a standard implementation for a remarketing audience like this. You're always going to want to keep it on per session, because what you're really interested in doing is, as a person navigated through your site during their session, you're interested to see if that person converted, if that person completed that goal. So you want to keep it at per session. So negotiating tips sign up per session is greater than 0. If you have a goal that is only valuable to you if that person's, completed 3 of the goals, then you would want to do is greater than 2. So at least 3. An example of this is clicks on social media share buttons. Say you run a magazine-style blog, and a very valuable action that shows user engagement is people who share articles or who share posts or who share products. So you might not want to spend money remarketing to somebody who just completed one of those goals, who just shared one item. You might want to only remarket to people who completed at least 3, 4, 5, or 10 different shares. It all depends on you. Once again, it all depends on your business, your setup, your customers, and what you consider valuable on your website. I'm just showing you how to do it here. So for example, for this account or for this client, we have negotiating tips per session is greater than 2 or is greater than 0 for 1. We can click apply. We have 11 over the last 7 days. We might want to change this membership duration to 90 days. And we can name our audiences, tip sign up is greater than 0. It's a super simple way to name this audience. And just one more quick note on membership duration. You want to consider your sales cycle, and this is something that we have mentioned before. You want to consider your sales cycle when it comes to deciding how long you want to keep these people or keep these cookies on this audience from the time of their first visit on the site. So what does it mean 90 days? Membership duration means if somebody comes and they complete this goal, they sign up for our negotiating tips, they're going to be on this audience, their cookie will be on this audience for 90 days, meaning any remarketing campaign associated with this audience, if I'm running a remarketing campaign in AdWords and I'm targeting this audience in that remarketing campaign or that remarketing ad group, that cookie will not expire for 90 days. And after 90 days, that cookie will expire and that user will no longer be eligible to see the ads associated with that specific ad group. So your sales cycle and the goal of the specific remarketing audience is very important to consider. So for example, let's say in our case here, we know that people who typically sign up for negotiating tips via email, if they're going to ultimately buy our product, they're going to do it within 90 days. We know that from our business statistics. If that's the case, then a 90-day membership duration is appropriate. If we know that if somebody is going to ultimately buy our product after signing up for tips via email, they're going to ultimately buy that product within 30 days, then our membership duration should be 30 days. So we don't spend money remarketing to dead fish. We don't want to spend money remarketing to people who have become disinterested or are disinterested or who we could predict are disinterested in our products or services. So I want you to just get that, idea of membership duration. One more thing on creating goal-based remarketing audiences. You could still combine remarketing audiences based on goals with all these other different parameters. We could add sequences, we could add e-commerce rules that a person had to have signed up for tips or completed any goal, but have also brought in a certain amount of revenue. I could also tell Google Analytics to only add people to my audience if they completed a certain goal and they're between 1824 or 18 and 34 and they're a male or they're a female. And as you can see, all this cool stuff on the right-hand panel is going to continue to update. While I'm not going to go through every one of these different parameters because we've done this before, and there's no real purpose because this is a limitless amount of combinations, every different type of primary targeting that we set up a remarketing audience with in the audience builder could be, and in most cases should be, combined and qualified with additional parameters and additional statistics to even further hone in and narrow and kind of pinpoint that audience more accurately. So once we go ahead and click apply, we click save, we've set up our audience. So that's it for this section. I just wanted to show you exactly how to set up goal-based remarketing audiences. It's a great idea. And in the next lecture, we're going to talk about event-based audiences in Google Analytics. That's going to be exciting because we're going to go back to some of the things we did in Google Tag Manager and set up some really cool audiences that way. So thanks for watching this one, guys, and I look very much forward to seeing you all and speaking to you all in a couple seconds in the next section.